Hello everyone, and welcome to this edition of BunkaMania. We are here to talk about WWE shenanigans all over the shop, because Survivor Series was a thing that happened. So we must discuss it. That is the way that this goes. I am Jeremy Graves. Thank you very much for joining us here tonight, and I am joined by my cohort in crime, a fellow tall man. Let's see, he will be the Scott Hall if I am Kevin Nash in The Outsiders. It's Mr. Iain Boulton. How's it going, good sir?
It's going good. It's going good. I'm surviving. Survival. Surviving. Survival. It's the name of the game. It's the name of the... Well, it's kind of the name of the stream, I suppose, for tonight.
I was going to say, you sound a tad unconvinced, but sure.
But I like the Scott Hall comparison. I'm fine with that.
There you go, because you are the bad guy in a different
I just need the toothpick and the crazy Scarface accent. It's like, I am the bad guy. No, I can't do it. I can't. It's like, hello, I am the bad guy. And now I sound French.
I mean, what I would say already, mate, is you trying to do a Scott Hall impression a la Razor Ramon is arguably far more interesting than the pay-per-view that we had to bear witness to just, about a couple of days ago?
Yeah. I think there's many other things that we can talk about, but this is BunkaMania. We're here to talk about all things wrestling. We talk about AEW, we talk about WWE, so it's time to talk about WWE, and it's... Well, that reaction sums it all up.
That kind of sums it up. Should note from the get-go, everybody, probably going to be little to no AEW talk tonight. I know I normally am the one to talk about AEW, but this one we're very much focusing on WWE. For better or worse, we will find out in due course. But before we go any further, once again, thank you very much for checking out BunkaMania here on Bunkazilla UK tonight. If you are watching live on Twitch, don't forget that you can make your feelings known about various things regarding WWE in the chat, and we can make some comments known during the broadcast as well. If you're watching after the fact on YouTube, hi, thank you very much for watching the archive of this. If you enjoyed this video, why not give it a thumbs up? And while you're at it, make sure to subscribe to the channel as well. And of course, if you are watching live on Twitch, why not give us a follow on there as well? If you want to get in contact with us after the fact on social media, you can find Bunkazilla on Facebook and of course on Twitter at Bunkazilla UK. Mr. Iain Boulton, before we go any further, any additional Bunkazilla, BunkaMania related info that we should impart on the fine folks watching here today, tonight, yesterday, tomorrow, whenever or wherever they are watching this?
Well, I think this is our last live show of the year, because in terms of the pay-per-view calendar, it's pretty much done and dusted. There is
much like WWE, they have no more pay-per-views this year.
Until the 1st of January, which we'll get onto a bit later on. So I think, so we have two pre-recorded specials coming up very, very soon. We'll talk about that in the outro. But of course, there is also AEW's Winter is Coming, which I believe is December 15th this year. So probably in one of those recorded episodes, we will touch base on that show as well, hopefully. And as always, obviously, if you're watching us live on Twitch, we want to make sure the streaming experience is at its most optimal level for you guys. So if there's any issues with sound or video, do let us know in the chat. And if you're watching on YouTube, this episode, we are definitely having chapter points, because there's quite a bit to go through with WWE. So if you want to go straight to Survivor Series, just click the chapter link in the description below, and you'll go straight into the... to that pay-per-view. I'm trying to sound positive, but and I think the way we're starting this, it's very hard to be positive about WWE these days with all the shenanigans that goes on. And
I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. It's an excellent time to be a WWE fan right now.
Really? Let's kick off. So before we go in, I think I'm probably going to be the one kind of leading this a little bit, because I've had more sort of I've been keeping an eye on WWE as well as AEW. So before we go into Survivor Series in general, I think it's just kind of a good place just to kind of catch up briefly on some recent events that have happened in WWE. So start of November, around 4th of November, they have their quarter earnings call. Again, they have record profits. What a surprise.
Record profits for that quarter. That's the key detail here. For that standalone quarter, they have record profits.
Yes. And then on the very same day, in the evening, they start some releasing. So Sorry, apologies to get that out of my throat. So 4th of November, the following superstars got
If you're going to play release bingo, please get your cards ready now.
It's not a fun game, this.
No, not at all. It's horrible. But sorry, I'll let you continue.
So release superstars are on after that earnings call. Karrion Kross, Scarlett, Keith Lee, Mia Yim, Frankie Monet, B-Fab from Hit Row, Eva Marie, Harry Smith, who had re-signed but not debuted at all.
Wait a second. Harry Smith was signed?
Yeah, he was re-signed after Hall of Fame earlier this year. So we also have Ember Moon, Insiderado, Grand Metalik. I think have I mentioned Nia Jax?
Either way, you have now.
I have now, Nia Jax. And then quite a few NXT recruits. Trey Baxter, Jessica Meir, Zeta Ramira, Katrina Cortez, Jeet Roma, and so we had that group, which there are some names there which we'll get to, which are just mind-blowing. And everyone was under the impression that was it for releases. Cue to the November 18th, a few days before Survivor Series, let's have some more releases. Everyone else from Hit Row's gone. John Morrison, Tegan Knox, Shane Thorne, formerly of Retribution, Drake Maverick, and Jason Riker. And the good old reason of budget cuts again, which I think we're both in agreement, and I think a lot of fans are probably in agreement, is probably a lot of bullshit. It's where do you... It's like there are names on this list, there are names here that are just... How do you not see potential or a use for people like Keith Lee? How do you not see something like that for you brought in John Morrison? If you're going to use John Morrison, use him than him just sitting backstage trying to kind of find his karma. And Hit Row is just it's like that was a faction that worked very well in NXT 1.0, and they were great. And it was exciting to see them come up to the main roster. But all they had was 3 promos, 1 squash match, and they're gone. It's just bonkers. Now there are different sort of things coming out as to why some releases are happening. Obviously, people don't buy the budget cut side of things, I think, for some people here as well. So it's been discussed. There's some talk about either COVID vaccination, all that sort of stuff, or attitude issues. It's surprising. Every time a group of people get cut from WWE, suddenly attitude issues turn up. And you had 1 or 2 coming up for like Keith Lee saying Keith Lee had attitude issues. I'm guessing the attitude issue is he sensed that some of his creative was pretty bollocks, and he probably stood up for it. And it's like, oh no, that's attitude issues. No. I mean, there've been fan interactions. I remember people were kind of going, oh, the Bearcat Keith Lee thing was his idea. It's like, no, it wasn't. It wasn't my idea at all.
Didn't he go on Twitter and say that as well?
Yeah, he said that, and you got a fan saying, oh, can I have the Karrion Kross gladiator mask? And Karrion Kross is going, no one wants that shit. So it's like, this is the thing that's frustrated, I think, a lot of people who've invested time in NXT 1.0 and seen a good wealth of talent come up to the main roster, and basically everything that's made them special, everything that's made them work with crowds gets stripped out and just thrown to the wolves in a way. And it's like when people can't get over it, they go, oh no, they can't get over it. We don't need them anymore. It's like, no shit. You give them shit gimmicks. You give them shit characters. You take away the one thing. Basically, with Karrion Kross, he should have turned up day one with the same entrance from NXT with Scarlett and just been an unbeatable killing machine. Nah, we'll get him pinned by Jeff Hardy because kids love Jeff Hardy, and there's a long train out for. No, there fucking isn't. Apologies for language this early on, but no, there fucking isn't. Again, Keith Lee had a huge health scare earlier this year with COVID and so forth, and great, wonderful. That sort of stuff. I don't want to. I don't. It's like, I'm trying not to get too angry about this. Obviously, I think people can tell I am a bit annoyed and so forth. But it's just kind of. This is the thing. How can fans invest? How can fans invest in like characters or even consider WWE is going to get better if you can't even invest in characters who may very well be gone the next week? Because usually releases used to be a yearly thing. Now they just become like every so often, or when or when they were going, oh, got to get those profits going. Love the profits.
What I will say now, for the record, all of these releases are horrid, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, the whole like potential COVID-related vaccination thing, not my business what someone thinks. I've got my views. People can have their views. Disclaimer for anyone that cares: I'm double vaxxed, waiting for a booster. Just putting it out there for the context of this conversation. So, but that aside, the thing is, at the moment, WWE is in a transition. The whole NXT 2.0 thing is a clear statement of that. And quite frankly, based on what the little I have kept up with and heard on NXT 2.0, not out of malice, just because quite frankly, I've got better use of my time, it sounds like it ain't going particularly well. There are slight elements which are shining lights, like Bron Breakker, is it? The Steiner, who's not a Steiner. Yeah, but the problem is that it's clear that WWE do not want to be what it was a few years ago for NXT, effectively the super indie.
Yeah.
That is basically what NXT became when it was fronted up by Triple H. And now they just want to kind of go back to more bigger guys. There are not very many small guys on the roster now who you even perhaps imagine will be able to break through a mold. Well, there are some exceptions to the rule. Like, ones that spring to mind, Ricochet is still doing a thing from what I can tell. But then, and I should be clear, I've really not kept up much with WWE, and that's a choice, because quite frankly, the last show I watched before Survivor Series the other day was SummerSlam. So I'm basing from that to Survivor Series on what I'm saying. So feel free to jump in and correct me if I'm very much incorrect.
Okay.
But there are very clearly certain people who are already, quote unquote, established that will be in that mold to some degree. But if you want to break through now, if you are a smaller guy who wants to go to WWE, at this point, it must simply be because you want a paycheck.
Yeah.
Because why would anyone who wants to further their career as a wrestler want to go to WWE unless they simply want to see if they can be someone to break through this ridiculous ceiling, which has been a WWE thing for so long now.
Yeah.
And I mean, when it comes to some of those names released, they became big names in WWE. Like one that springs to mind from NXT, Ember Moon. Yeah. That was an entire NXT creation, that character, that is now just gone. I don't know if she's come out publicly and said what she's going to do next or whatnot, or acknowledged anything.
I don't know on that front. But with Ember Moon in particular, she was very well loved in NXT 1.0, went up to the main roster. Unfortunately, there was some injuries there that kind of stunted what she could do. So after, I think, one of her more recent injury layoffs, about a year and a bit, she went back to NXT just as it transitioned over to 2.0. And yeah, that was pretty much it. There's these reports out saying from WWE that they're looking for particular things now with recruits, and for female superstars, it's getting even sillier. They now want 20. I think the report thing is they need to be 25 and under now to be considered to be signed by WWE. And when it's that's something Frankie Monet or I think it's Tanya Valkyrie. Taya Valkyrie really let rip when she was released. Just saying it's utterly ridiculous. And it's kind of
Sorry, I'll let you finish. Sorry.
No, I know. I was done. Sorry.
Because what I will say is, and what you've just mentioned there about the alleged requirements now for female performers, I'm going to use that phrase now, is it's another example to back up what I said of WWE wanting to have a particular mold. There was the phrase yonks ago, like, of people saying it's a very cookie cutter like formula where everything's got to be a certain way. WWE is going back to that, but I'm a firm believer that things are cyclical. And so at some point in the future, there will come a time when, things from like a few years ago might become a bit more prevalent again, or there might be a few people who will break through the mold and whatnot and be like the cookie that's a bit out of shape, if you will, but does really well. But to try and put a positive spin on this, all of these people have been let go. That's horrid, to be clear. But the amount of talent now that is available within a few months to start going around the world, be it Japan, coming over here to the UK for indie shows. You've got Impact Wrestling doing really good stuff. And we never actually talk about Impact Wrestling, partly because I don't get much time to watch it. I know you don't either.
Nor do I.
But what
And I
they
feel
have
like I
got
should.
is really, really solid. In fact, you know what? I'm going to suggest, Ian, at some point, let's watch some Impact, because I think you will really like it, genuinely.
Maybe that's something for New Year. Maybe that's our nice. No, there you go. That's a BunkaMania New Year resolution. We're actually going to do we'll dedicate some time to talk about Impact, because I believe it's very easy to watch the Impact recordings anyway, because I think most episodes are live on Facebook or via the Impact Plus app. If you want to watch the pay-per-views, you have to pay and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So no, I agree, because there are a few wrestlers who I do like, who are at Impact, and I just haven't dedicated time to watch it, because obviously there's so much wrestling in the world. But you're right. I think a lot of these names are going to hit the ground running in other promotions very quickly. I will be surprised if I don't see Keith Lee in AEW when his 90 days are up, because it's like you don't sleep on a talent like that. You really don't. I think Karrion Kross will probably find his feet again as well. Absolutely no problems with that. Let's have a look. Who else?
I mean, there's so many names though, isn't there? Like they can go anywhere.
I mean, Hit Row would be a very good faction to bring in as a group, maybe for one, maybe Impact, maybe something like that.
If Shane Strickland, I can't remember what his name was.
It's I Swerve. Yeah,
thank you. Yeah, but if he does not end up in AEW or MLW, maybe I will be very surprised. But AEW just seems like a perfect fit for him with the level of talent they've got there.
Absolutely. Just having a look again. John Morrison. We'll probably see him in Impact, maybe
Johnny Impact,
or AEW, maybe. It's just I think that's a very positive thing to look at. This is like wrestling is back. The wrestling in promotions are getting more and more back into things. Impact, obviously, Impact's going okay now. AEW is going amazingly well, and all these other brands and promotions are starting to really get back on their feet after pandemic and COVID. So there is plenty of opportunity there now. I think now more than ever to kind of go and make a splash, make a name for yourself. There's so many other options as well. Wrestlers can make a name for themselves. Obviously, there's things like Twitch, there's things like YouTube channels and all that sort of stuff. I think even Bray Wyatt has started to go off and do Hollywood. Is planning to do a Hollywood film with the makeup guy who created The Fiend with him. So it's like there are so many different avenues for people to kind of approach now, and all these people are talented. They are going to find their way, and I hope they all find something successful to do. But yeah, if WWE aren't going to appreciate the talents, there are plenty of other companies out there that are going to, and even us as fans, we are going to appreciate their talent somewhere else. And I mean, it's like, I think for me, it's like, the reason I still watch WWE from time to time, I think the only main program I watch, I think on a weekly basis, is SmackDown, because it's short, and I like I said, I do like the Roman Reigns character, and I think
overall on SmackDown, from what I can tell, SmackDown has easily been the stronger show in general, and far more actually entertaining of the two to watch. It's
still not a perfect product. There are still some very stupid WWE booking habits that are just still painful to watch on a weekly basis. But I watched that particular show because I like to support the performers, and I think it's not. And at the end of the day, it's not the performers' fault that they are kind of stuck in this. Because I can't imagine what it's like to work for WWE right now. I really can't. I imagine it would be a toll on even the most sanest of persons in there. So.
The other thing as well, and this is to sort of back up my comment a minute ago of why would anyone go to work there, is even if you sign a contract there, I mean, sorry, forgive me for not knowing the names, but was it B-Fab of Hit Row?
Yeah, so Hit Row.
She got released like a week, she specifically got released, I think it was like a week or two after she had signed a new contract.
Yeah, so it's like, I think Hit Row signed a main roster contract when they went up, which obviously takes the 30-day non-compete up to 90-day non-compete. And yeah, it's like, all right, it's like there's literally no job security at WWE unless you're a Vince pet project that you have no. It's like you could be shown the door next day. I mean, even Xavier Woods was talking about possibly being released maybe down the line at some point. And he says if that's the case, then it's like, well, I became King of the Ring. My job here's done. I'm fine. And again, Xavier Woods has got plenty of other options. I mean, he's obviously G4 at the moment. He's on G4. I mean,
up, down is technically suspended now, isn't it? Because aren't they?
Yes.
Because they're not doing anything. But this is just me anecdotally reading things on Twitter. But I think I read that they're not doing any programming on there out of protest for all the releases. Which good on them.
No. Part of the releases, but also the fact that Xavier Woods doesn't earn any. Apparently, he doesn't earn much from Up, Up, Down, Down. It's like he started the channel with WWE, but he doesn't own it. So basically, he's not getting any extra financial incentives or compensation for the amount of hard work he puts on there.
Which is why he randomly appeared on a stream on the former Tyler Breeze's channel.
yeah. So yeah, it's kind of, there's no job security there. So it's like you see vignettes for Xia Li coming soon. It's a nice vignette. I think it's a pretty nice vignette. But the fact is, I will not be surprised if it gets to like 4 weeks down the line, or when it comes to next releases, and Xia Li doesn't turn up, and they just go, "No, we didn't need Xia Li after all." It's like, again, it's like the whole Aleister Black thing. It's like you invest your time and money in this, and from a fan, you invest your time as a fan, and then it's like, oh, here they are 1 week. Oh, we have now released this person. Why? Budget cuts. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be very interesting in the next coming months. It's going to be interesting in the new year because there are some notable contracts coming up for renewal, which, as far as we're aware, as far as dirt sheets are aware and all that sort of, have not. I shouldn't call them dirt sheets. The other wrestling journalist outlets, because they do provide good information.
According to the internet.
Yes, according to the internet. Notable contracts coming up. Johnny Gargano is supposed to have his contract expire on the 3rd of December. He signed a 1 week extension so he could do War Games. So I think War Games. So the main event for War Games at the moment is NXT 1.0 of Ciampa, Gargano, Pete Dunne, LA Knight versus 2.0, which is Grayson Waller, Bron Breakker, Carmelo Hayes, and Trick Williams. So it's like, so again, it's like, I mean, it's an interesting concept. I will probably watch War Games because I like War Games. I'm disappointed that William Regal hasn't turned up to shout War Games, because that's tradition. So when you mess with tradition, you know it's not going to go well. Anyway,
maybe he'll turn up on the final NXT 2.0.
Maybe
he'll turn up on the night and be the one to introduce the match.
War Games. So yeah, Gargano, a Sun extension. I mean, I probably would not want to be there at the moment. Kyle O'Reilly, again, up in December. Currently a team with Von Wagner, who made a random appearance on SmackDown 1 week. No one refers to him by name. So that's good. And yeah, obviously, I think we've talked about this before. Kevin Owens' contract's up in January. And yeah, I don't think KO's staying either. So it's like, I think for talent with sense, they've seen that on the door. They can see how this is going to turn out. And like I said, there are other companies out there that are probably going to appreciate their talents a lot more. But yeah, it makes things. I'm rolling up my sleeves. I don't know why. Maybe because I'm about to get into business. I'm getting into business here. But anyway, but yeah, I mean, things like the releases have made trying to get invested in something like Survivor Series very difficult. Also, when there's been little to bugger all in terms of build to Survivor Series, how on earth do you get invested anyway? Because the reasoning behind a lack of build is because they did a lot of focus on Crown Jewel, which happened end of October. It was an okay, from a wrestling standpoint, it was a good show. Obviously, all the asterisks and sort of what's the word?
All the obvious stuff.
Yeah, all the obvious stuff about the Saudi deal is still prevalent, and it's still kind of But no, I mean there were some decent matches there. I think if you do have to go and see a match from Crown Jewel this year, Hell in a Cell was very, very good. So was the women's triple threat for the SmackDown title. Other than that, it was kind of like a house show in most phases. But then and then during Crown Jewel, we had the draft. So a lot of people swap brands. And pretty much when you look at the Survivor Series lineup, it's people who are on opposite brands a couple of weeks ago. So how can brand supremacy mean anything when they've only been on the brand for 3 weeks?
So this brings up an interesting thought. So the thing is, there's been this viewpoint of that there hasn't been much in the way of creative because they had Crown Jewel. I have seen so many comments, and even I have come up with thoughts as to how they can make this show more interesting by default. Survivor Series is one of the traditional big four. And in my case, I very much went in with the mindset of, okay, I've not watched WWE events since SummerSlam. And that was kind of an exception to the rule, perhaps, of how events may be, because it was in a giant stadium and whatnot. But I was thought, right, if there's going to be a couple of traditional Survivor Series tag matches, I will get to see a bunch of performers, wrestlers, whatever the correct term is at this point, and I'll get to see them be showcased and kind of get an idea for a bunch of the characters that are on, and there'll be a bunch of other characters as well on the show, and I could get a good scope of where things are probably at right now with certain characters in the world of WWE. To me, that's a very easy drawing point to how you can showcase some new people. We'll get to it a bit later. Austin Theory was a prime example of that for me, in terms of someone who has not seen him on the main roster, and let alone NXT, quite frankly. And for a first-time viewing of someone, that was a great showcase from my point of view. But the other thing is, there's a little event in January called Royal Rumble.
Yes.
There are ways you can emphasize what something could mean. You could have it be a Survivor Series tag match that whoever is remaining on a winning team will be guaranteed a spot in the Royal Rumble. If it's a champion versus champion match, it could be that you get to select the next challengers for the team you beat. So it's kind of a bit of a bragging rights or a one-upping type thing. Like there's, it's not much, even that as an idea. It's still a hell of a lot more than what they produced as to why you should care about this show.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't, ultimately, even the main event, there was no reason to care about it.
No,
that's just me being blunt. There wasn't any reason whatsoever.
No, that's not, and that's nothing against Big E and Roman Reigns. It's a simple house show of champion versus champion. What else is going to happen here? There was no story. There was no storytelling elements to it. And we'll get to that match a little bit later on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's. I think the last time I was probably ever invested in Survivor Series was probably when they were forced to bring in NXT into the matter. Because that actually
because they got stuck abroad.
Yeah, the previous crown jewel. And yeah.
Okay, actually, you know what? Sorry to cut up, but here's just an interesting question. Because you watch WWE far more regularly than I do.
Yeah.
Do you remember one thing that happened Survivor Series last year?
The only things I can remember was Drew and Roman probably had the best match. But Roman rolled him, obviously, because he was on his run. And yeah, it was the time where Seth Rollins had a weird time off period where he just went, I'm going to sacrifice myself for the greater good, got a brogue kick and got eliminated within 10 seconds of the men's Survivor Series match that year. Other than that, I can't remember. Look at me, what's going on.
Now, for the record, I didn't actually watch the show, but from what I recall, was that also Undertaker's retirement?
Yes, I forget that.
Right? So the reason I mention this is because that, for a load of people, was a reason to tune in. Even if the matches themselves didn't have any lick of importance to them whatsoever.
Yeah.
The idea that this is Undertaker's retirement show, if you will, was a big deal.
What was it? It was like 30 minutes of his friends coming into the ring and all these entrances, and then they all got out the ring. Undertaker's
a dead man. He doesn't have friends.
He just turned up and went, rest in peace. And he just walked off. It's like no sort of, I think it's like when he was trying to retire at WrestleMania 33 by taking off the hat and stuff like that, that felt more bloody symbolic.
I was going to say, which time?
Well, it's like, if you watch have you watched the Last Ride documentary?
Yeah, I honestly, like, his last few matches just kind of blend together for me. There was the Bray Wyatt one, the Roman one, obviously the Lesnar one at 30. Yeah,
John Cena.
The John Cena one was the best of the final three. I don't care what anyone says. It was the best one.
What about Boneyard? Boneyard was fun.
Sorry, actual in-ring match. So the Boneyard match was... Okay. The Boneyard... This is a tangent, but the Boneyard match is the best presentation of The Undertaker for at least a decade, in my opinion. The best overall encompassing presentation.
Yeah.
Minus maybe Shawn Michaels matches, but, you know.
Yeah. No, fair enough. So that's why I was saying, like, in terms of highlighting importance, last year there was actually a reason to tune in
if he really wanted to. Whereas with this, there just really wasn't. And it showed a heck of a lot.
Well, on the basis of that, shall we kick straight into it? I
need some liquid courage. Now, for the record, I don't drink alcohol, but I have an entire 2-litre bottle of Pepsi here. So I intend fully... There you go. That's proof it's brand new.
He's gonna chug it. He's gonna chug. No.
I mean, look, I've got a pint glass here, so I'm gonna every time I need to refill this glass, I'm gonna make it known to emphasize how many pints that this thing made me drink. So
right. So let's go straight into it. So we'll do like a little play-by-play thing. So we'll go through the show as it goes. So we'll start off with the kickoff show, because the kickoff show lays a few ground things that happened in the main show. So, first and foremost, we have the kickoff match of Shinsuke Nakamura versus Damian Priest, Intercontinental Champion versus US Champion. This was a pretty throwaway match, to be honest. Nothing, again, not a lot of stakes. So why do you get invested? But they've been going with this Damian Priest Jekyll and Hyde character for a little bit now. So he's no longer the Archer of Infamy. He's just a guy he's called Damian, so he must be a devil, but he's also a priest, so he must have the patience of a saint. So it's a fairly normal back and forth match. Rick Boogs, the guitar man for Nakamura, is just playing guitar now and then, and every so often when he plays the guitar, Priest just goes, "Oi, no, don't do that at all. That gets me angry." Does it again. He goes, "Oi, don't." Third time, he goes into like Damien mode, which is just him just going.
Goes into Damien, but is this like the equivalent of like going? Is this like the equivalent of Bruce Banner turning into the Hulk, and he just can't decide which one?
No, he just bulges his eyes and just angrily scowls because he just rolls out, takes the guitar, breaks the guitar, attacks Shinsuke. Shinsuke?
Did you just call him Shinji?
No, don't get in the robot Nakamura. No. He'll just go, come on. Oh, God.
Play the guitar, Boogs. Play the guitar.
It's like he just plays the rocker. Oh,
just starts playing the Evangelion thing. You see, already, right? That is far better than this pay-per-view. That idea right there. Did you remember when now King Woods, but Xavier Woods, we used to come with a trombone and would play little songs on his trombone, and he would do like a Final Fantasy winning theme one week, and every week it was like a little inside joke for everyone who knew, what songs are you going to play today. He should just do that. Just start playing random TV show theme songs and just see if anyone notices.
I still love the Final Fantasy level up when they were chatting with Seth Rollins one show. It's like,
yep, literally. That's how Boogs could get over right there.
Yeah, no, he just you know what I miss? I miss the violinists that got turned with Nakamura during Takeover. They just followed the ring and they were doing the theme and they were just bobbing along. And then when he went to do this sort of like thingy, when he goes down on his back, they all went down the back and went, "Oh, play the violin." I miss that madness. But yeah, so the bottom line is, ended in DQ. Nakamura won. Nakamura doesn't do anything for Nakamura because he's been repeatedly pinned as a champion the last few matches in tag matches, and he's not been protected as a champion. So,
you mean typical WWE champion booking? Okay.
Yes. When Damian Priest has actually been undefeated since January. So, make of that what you will. Meanwhile, backstage, limo has just pulled up, and a lot of people who are not on the Survivor Series card and probably fearing for their jobs are all just gathered round wondering who's in the limo. It's Vince McMahon. Hello, it's me, Vince McMahon. Everyone goes, yay! Please don't fire us. Please, for the love of God.
No, Ian.
No.
We need to properly emphasize how Vince McMahon was cheered like he was a member of the Beatles in Beatlemania. This was so over the top.
Yes. And after that, he just goes, no. Wait. Goes into his limo and produces the egg.
When he first pulled that out, I genuinely thought it was a grapefruit.
And everyone starts chanting egg, egg, egg. Now, for the context of this, Survivor Series is sponsored by Red Notice, a film on Netflix starring The Rock. It's very
Dwayne of Johnson, you say?
Yeah, Dwayne of Johnson. Also, the film has become like Netflix's most successful original movie. That's great. I thought it was a load of bollocks. But that's another that's another discussion for another time. A slight positive. I've said this on my own personal stream. Positives. I think Dwayne, Ryan Reynolds, and Gal Gadot have wonderful chemistry. They're great fun. They seem to like to enjoy themselves. I just think the story's a load of shit. I just got annoyed with it by the end.
So what you're saying is there's a pattern here.
There's a pattern. But yes, so basically the plot of Red Notice is Ryan Reynolds, Dwayne Johnson are looking for Cleopatra's golden eggs, which are worth 100 million when brought together. They're free eggs, and Vince McMahon somehow has one of them, and people just go egg, 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 and we just think it's a one-off thing, and oh, lo and behold, it didn't become a one-off thing, and we'll get on to that a bit later on, because then the main show starts, and it has an intro where pretty much it's an advert for Red Notice. They did this with WrestleMania Backlash, but they had Dave Bautista narrating the opening video to promote Army of the Dead for Netflix. So it's kind of like when you're at WrestleMania Backlash, it's like fighting zombies in Las Vegas in Army of the Dead. It's like, wow, I didn't know wrestling and zombie fighting could be one and the same, Bautista. Sign me up.
I mean, depending what kind of audience you're performing in front of, there might be a lot of zombies, but...
Yeah, true. I think Adam Pompier's pained reaction while trying to watch it on Wrestle Talk just sometimes like, why are they promoting Red Notice? It's a wrestling show. Why are you promoting Red Notice? It's just, yeah.
Which, can I just say from the outset, right, is it not the most just wonderful irony that given how much they promote the Peacock streaming service, that the sponsor of this pay-per-view streaming on Peacock, exclusively on Peacock, is to promote a product exclusively on Netflix.
It's kind of like you're watching wrestling on Peacock, but you can also watch Red Notice on Netflix. Wrestling on Peacock. Why don't you watch Red Notice? You know what? Put the remote down. Watch Red Notice. To be honest, I probably wouldn't mind watching Red Notice again over this, to be perfectly honest. But that's enough.
That's the thing. They were literally telling people, go to Netflix. Why are you watching this?
It's like, why aren't you watching the beautiful people steal eggs in Red Notice? Why have you not watched the beautiful people stealing eggs in Red Notice? Why have you not watched the beautiful people stealing eggs in Red Notice? Welcome to Survivor Series.
Do you want to see The Rock? You won't see him here.
We'll get on to that a bit later on.
I will say, by the way, that was a really good advert, by the way. You just did.
From me, just saying, why aren't you watching the beautiful people? Why aren't you watching the beautiful people, Jeremy? Why?
Because they were in Ring of Honor and not WWE and Impact for a while. There you go.
Fair enough. But
that's how I got it. That's how I got it back onto wrestling. There you go.
But we opened the show with arguably, I think the match most people were actually interested in, and that's Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair. So Raw Women's Champion versus SmackDown Women's Champion. Now this is a feud that took advantage of some real life heat between the two performers. So obviously the draft happened, and they were both champions with the opposite brand. Oh no, what will we do?
You mean the Daft Draft?
Yes, the Daft Draft. Say that several times. So basically, in the good old WWE logic, so should we just put the belts on other people in that brand? Nah, just do a title exchange on SmackDown as a main event. I'm sure that's going to go down well. Does not, to be perfectly honest. I think both performers thought it made them look silly, but they tried to make the best of it. But there's a bit where Charlotte goes off script and just throws belts around and so forth. Apparently leads to an actual real life shouting match backstage between Becky and Charlotte. Charlotte gets escorted from the building. I think that's been documented by a lot of the wrestling websites there. So unsurprisingly, in typical WWE fashion, they've kind of banked on this animosity to build the feud. It's basically about who's the better wrestler, and we used to be best friends. Now we hate each other, but this time for real. So it's the only match on this card that kind of has a story, and it's probably
they put it on first.
Yeah, because it gives you, if they put it on first and Roman and Big E are closing, that means something might be happening. Anyway, this match, I mean, out of the matches on the card, this is probably the best match. Because it comes across like a real slugfest. I know last time we were talking about CM Punk and Eddie Kingston, slight AEW tangent. And obviously this is a feud where you feel general animosity towards one another. And they just basically, they're not there to do fancy wrestling moves. They're here just to punch each other and just find out who's the better person. It's kind of like the same here with Lynch and Flair. It comes up like a real slugfest. Some of the wrestling's a little bit sloppy and unchoreographed, but it works. It works well in the context of the match. And it was actually quite entertaining watching them kind of try and one-up each other. Ultimately, it ends up with Charlotte trying to do a cheating roll-up. Gets caught, told off by the ref. Becky does the same, wins. So yeah, and you can tell how much I think people I think some of the wrestlers generally didn't enjoy that, because it's like the moment Charlotte's pinned, she's picked up a towel and she's walking out because she's just not there to sell anymore. So
I disagree with that slightly, and I'll explain why. Because first of all, I thought great match for me, easily match of the night, easily. Yeah. Now, what I actually loved the finish, and I'm not one for really liking cheating finishes, but the fact is that Charlotte rolled her up and grabbed the rope, and the ref clearly saw it, and then obviously it then got rolled up again, but this time Becky rolling up Charlotte. But the key detail is that the ref altered his position so he couldn't see much of Becky, if you will. And so Becky went to grab the rope as well. Get my hand in shot there. Well, but then didn't. Looked towards the ref to see if he was looking. And when he hit 1, 2, then she grabbed the rope, and then 3 was hit. And then obviously she had won. So it was the thing that she cheated, but it was incredibly tactical cheating. Yeah. And I took it to be the reaction of Charlotte basically kind of having a smile and walking out, of basically just giving the equivalent reaction of, you bitch. You beat me in my own game. Damn you. I'm meant to be the dirtiest player in the game. That's how I took it.
Okay, fair enough.
And that's how it came across. And I really, really liked that finish. And they got the crowd super into it. The crowd were really up for this match. Yeah, they weren't up for much else. There's a reason for that, which we'll probably get to in a few minutes. But yeah, they got the crowd into it. And just this match, like you said, it felt unique. Well, you didn't say that exactly, but because of the circumstances, the way it played out, perhaps sloppy in places, but it's kind of designed to be that way. Yeah. And because of that, it felt really unique. And as has been said in so many freaking documentaries on WWE's own network, case in point, like Matt Hardy and Edge, when they had their thing going on over Lita, when you add reality into something, people can tell. And that's why it resonates. CM Punk's pipe bomb, when you add reality into something, and him v John Cena, it really, really works. ECW One Night Stand 06, when RVD beat John Cena, and that crowd did not want to see John Cena win because they wanted their ECW champ to win. It's just, you know what I mean? When you add actual reality into it, be it from the people who are performing or the crowd being ultra invested in it, or in the best case scenario, both of them, it can make for some magic. And this was an example of that. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Harriet in the chats has said they put it on first so people could watch Red Notice after the main event. You see, Harriet? That's a great point, because they probably knew no one was going to watch the rest of the show. Or if they did, they knew they were going to be sorely disappointed. Yes. So yeah, it's I think, like I said, I think match of the night. Yeah, I think out of all the matches on the card, I think this is the one I think most people are looking forward to anyway. So yeah, if you need to watch a match right now from Survivor Series, this is the one you just need to go and watch. So we have this match. Meanwhile, backstage. Well, but before that, if I remember correctly, we get our first, because the other thing about this show, everyone, not only is The Rock involved in Red Notice, 25 years ago, it's the 25th anniversary of The Rock's debut at Survivor Series 96 at Madison Square Garden with his really random tassel-y garb. Rocky Maivia. There you go. The blue chipper. And all the other words that they say. But so the big thing about this show was they're celebrating The Rock's 25th anniversary. And they're doing little highlight packages of moments throughout The Rock's career. Because, you know, it's The Rock's 25th anniversary.
Yeah.
And if it's the anniversary, one might put two and two together, even if it's not outrightly been said or advertised anywhere, that The Rock might be involved in some actual capacity in some way other than promoting his film. Or, as we'll get to, providing an egg.
Yes. And then the story of the egg continues in the next part of the show, because Roman Reigns has gone up to security, told him to clear out the way so he can go and see Vince McMahon. Goes in to see Vince McMahon, and Vince's going, you see this egg? This egg was a gift from your cousin. It's worth $100 million. He's like, the ones they used in the film were fake, but this one's real. Ha, ha, ha. Yes.
Can I just interject for a second?
Okay.
I need to just put it back on us. So I understood everything you said a bajillion times more than I understood any lines of dialogue in these Vince McMahon backstage segments. Whoever was producing these from an audio point of view really needs to learn how to turn a microphone on. Because I am convinced it was only a camera attached to the microphone that was on. Because the audio, I watched the entire show with noise-cancelling headphones, and I still couldn't make out what was said in these segments. So the fact you've actually added more clarity to that and explained the backstory of this story that no one really wants to know about, thank you. Because I really appreciate that.
Good. Look at this egg. It's worth $100 million. My friend, your cousin, The Rock, he gave it to me. It's real. Sure, Vince. Sure, it's real. It's going to be worth as much as my own contracts as Roman as he leaves. So basically, obviously, Roman playing up the sort of he's a big deal sort of thing. So,
is it not interesting as well that in the space of what was it like 3 or 4 days, we had 2 promos on wrestling shows talking effectively about contracts and bidding wars? Because MJF did it on Dynamite.
Yeah, but yeah, here this is all about an egg. It's an egg.
It was an excellent idea.
I'm disgusted at you for that.
I'm not. It's far more entertaining than the show was.
We'll get back to Vince McMahon and his wacky adventures with the egg in a few moments. But first, it's the Men's Survivor Series match. So this was Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, Finn Balor, Bobby Lashley, and Austin Theory from Raw versus Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, King Woods.
The way you said Drew McIntyre, I just need to acknowledge this here because I'm pretty sure everyone else heard it as well. When you said Drew McIntyre, your voice glitched on the word McIntyre. It was quite interesting how that just came out in my headphones.
I was just trying to Scottish. Oh, Drew McIntyre.
No, your voice legit glitched. It was perfectly timed. You can't plan that stuff.
Fair enough. So yeah, we have Drew, we have Woods, we have Happy Corbin, we have Sheamus, and we have Jeff Hardy. So yeah, it's your usual sort of brand supremacy sort of things. So with this match, you had a few good storytelling beats. You had Kevin Owens currently continuing his Raw run of I'm not a bad guy, but if you want me to be your bad guy, I'll be your bad guy. Do
you know, Ian? I'm sorry to cut you off. I keep doing that a lot tonight, but I feel the need to say, you know what really, really gets me hyped up for a match involving wrestlers that I'm actually really interested to see? You know what really gets me hyped? When you show me a pre-match promo telling me who isn't in the match now. Because when they showed the promo and they highlighted Rey Mysterio is not in the match.
No.
And I can't remember who he was replaced by, but I immediately thought in the nicest possible way, I want to see Rey Mysterio. Then they talked about Dominic being removed. And it's like, I kind of wouldn't mind seeing Dominic in this. He's a really cool wrestler. And then they keep highlighting people that aren't in the match. And then we get to the match. And the first person in the ring is going to be Kevin Owens, the prize fighter. Fight Owens fight. Whatever you said his current gimmick is. He's getting ready to fight. And the first thing that happens, he walks out.
Yes, because...
What better way to get me hyped up for this 10-man tag match than to have someone who the fans genuinely want to see walk out and do sod all?
I mean, to counteract that, he has been having a good little run on Raw at the moment with this character. So I think if you watch the previous weeks of Raw and kind of got into that sort of understanding that he was kind of in this sort of weird mental mind game with Seth Rollins and Big E, it's like this wasn't really surprising to an extent if you're very familiar. Obviously, I can understand from your point of view, not having seen Owens in a while, this is a very weird sort of thing, and they do very little to kind of touch on it, I suppose, in the actual show itself before the match. So Owens gets himself counted out. During the process of the match, both Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley both get themselves counted out in a very silly fashion. Don't get me wrong, I love seeing them beat 7 shades of shit out of each other and throwing each other around the ring. That's great. They have great chemistry. But just to kind of go, oh no, they've fallen over the barrier. Oh no, they counted out. Well, this is a disappointment. So I think Jeremy's
the thing is,
Ian, his composure.
The thing is,
let's move on.
How do you have 3 countouts in one Survivor Series match? Now, there's an element where, by the way, in case you haven't figured out, people, I am trying to politely bury the show. I get the idea you need to protect people. Having someone walk out does not protect them. Having 2 guys who have got really big history with each other this calendar year, and before that, quite frankly, in some cases, and you can tell they're actually up for a fight. The moment Drew's walking out, Bobby Lashley's got like laser focused eyes on him. I'm actually hyped to see them wrestle again. Not probably realizing they wrestled each other like 3 weeks ago or something on Raw. I don't know at this point, probably. But still, there's that element of you get to rekindle some rivalries. And they go to a lame-ass double countout. I mean, we'll get to the countout in the women's match. Because quite frankly, that countout, and I try not to swear much on streams, but that countout was utter bloody bullshit. Like, well, it's just...
I'm sorry, folks. Jeremy's sworn. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
What?
It's never happened. He's going to have more team.
You know what, Ian? I need to chug some Pepsi. Hang on.
All right. So so during the match, we have little things. Sheamus and Jeff Hardy team up, even though they've had a very bitter blood feud last year. They team up and do moves together, like the chest smashing and all that sort of stuff. And basically, the people get whittled down pretty quickly. So you've got, I mean, King Woods is dismissed very early on, which is a bit of a shame. Happy Corbin gets out of there quickly, which is good. Balor's just there to work. Austin Theory has a good showing in it as well. But ultimately it comes down to Seth Rollins versus Jeff Hardy for Sole Survivor. And it's like this was kind of referenced on a couple of reactions. It's like good old Jeff. Jeff is trying to keep up with this, but he's just not, it has a lot of energy sometimes. It's like
good old Jeffrey.
He's just sometimes he's just kind of bobbing up and down and then just going.
I look forward to the day that Jeff Hardy needs to like properly turn heel, and he's just going to start wearing a suit and tie, and he's just going to be called Jeffrey Hardy, and he's going to be like, yeah, literally, he'll just be like, some kind of, he'll be like Corporate Kane, but in Jeff Hardy form. But honestly, I'll go back to this match. So from what I was talking about and how utterly bullshit the countouts were and stuff,
the
last like 5 to 10 minutes of this match, I think, what was actually really good fun. When you had Balor in there, and then when he was getting eliminated and leading up to the finish, even the freaking random double team involving Sheamus and Jeff Hardy, as weird of a visual as it was, they actually really got the crowd going. And I got really into it. But the finish of the match was great. Really, really enjoyed how this match ended, which, considering how it started and how it was going, they couldn't finish the meme properly, and they actually gave you a good finish.
Yeah, it was a good finish. I mean, Seth winning works with his current storyline with Big E. He's number 1 contender to WWE Championship, so it makes sense to agree. There's no number 1 contender for the Universal title right now.
You could say it was an extremely good finish.
Moving on. Moving on. You know what's the best way to celebrate the most electrifying man in all of sports entertainment? Have the 25-man Battle Royale for The Rock, sponsored by Pizza Hut.
I better take a big sip of drink for this.
Oh, you better take a big sip of drink because this was absolute garbage. Sponsored by pizza.
I'll have you know, Ian, Pizza Hut on a good day is not garbage.
Pizza Hut is. I like Pizza Hut. I don't have Pizza Hut a lot. We have Domino's, a lot of Domino's nearby, but I do like Pizza Hut's like stuffed crust. I really do. We're not endorsed by Pizza Hut. We'll stress that now if anyone watching on YouTube and stuff like that.
Pizza Hut not a sponsor, and they won't be after what WWE did to them.
Yeah. So this is basically over the top rope battle royale with a lot of tag teams involved. Why? I don't know. What's at stake? Pizza. Why else? Not some endorsement by Dwayne The Rock Johnson. No, pizza. A special yeah.
So sorry, go on. Then I'll make my point.
Yeah. So a lot of it's basically there's shenanigans and bollocks involving people trying to eat pizza and then not eating pizza and getting angry about pizza. And ultimately what happens is Omos, the giant man, the man who is so incredibly tall, and also can't take an actual bump still, wins this without so much as a threat, to be honest. And their victory was pizza, but then the Street Profits said, no, you can't have the pizza. We're going to take the pizza and we're going to fling it into the audience like Frisbees. People love this.
So, first of all, I need to point out something that's been said in the chat.
Yep.
Very, very correct comment here being made by LJM Matthews Art. Pizza Hut buffet is great. Just to say, first off, I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yes.
Second of all, now, this Battle Royal is to mark the 25th anniversary celebration of arguably one of the biggest stars ever. Wrong wrestler, but it applies here. In the context of wrestling. And the way you celebrate this is to have a 25-man battle royal.
Yep.
That on the surface makes sense.
Yes. Yes, it
Then
does.
you present a battle royal, which watching it on television was so boring. Stuff just didn't keep happening for quite a while. Occasionally there'd be an elimination. Occasionally the announcers didn't know who got eliminated and had to actually wait to see who the face was to figure it out. And then ultimately, go on.
No one let Byron Saxon have any pizza because no one seems to like Saxon, which is a shame.
So this is the thing, right? Okay, so yeah, right. I'm going to have to make notes as I go along here. So, and then you're endorsed by Pizza Hut for this battle royal. Now, I get the idea of having a sponsor for a match.
Yeah.
How would The Rock feel about this? Can you imagine if The Rock had been in that building and he saw the mass of humanity that celebrated his 25th anniversary in this incredibly turgid, dull piece of utter garbage-like shit that was a battle royal? And how do they celebrate the winning of the 25th anniversary battle royal? Is there a trophy of The Rock like there was for the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal? No. Is there a commemorative plate, because it wasn't that good for a trophy, that you could give the winner? No. Is there any kind of prize money or championship opportunity given? No. You get some pizza. That's how we'll celebrate it. The pizza, which it should be noted, they just started flinging into the crowd. The winner doesn't even get his share of the pizza. It just
No pizza for you, boss.
It just gets flung into the crowd, which, one, potential health and safety hazard. Two, do you think Pizza Hut are happy that their product just got thrown? And then three, and I think this is actually a really crucial thing from a sponsor point of view, the Street Profits, after nicking Omos's pizza and just throwing it into the crowd, take the rest of it, go to the top of the entrance ramp where there are two of the cheapest ass looking tables and cloths that you could find with a couple of pizza boxes on it. And what do? They pick up a slice, and you have never seen anyone try so hard to take the smallest bite of pizza ever. ever. Go back and watch it. It's like a crumb that he takes off the edge of the pizza and then he gives the reaction like it's the best thing in the world. And you know what I said to that immediately, Ian? I shouted, bullshit. Because you cannot... just utter bullshit. I was... As a pizza-loving man, I was offended by this segment. And Pizza Hut should be too, and they should try and get all their money back for sponsoring this match. And The Rock should file a lawsuit for defamation of character for this match.
Who owns The Rock trademark? Is it still WWE, or does Dwayne actually own it? I'm not sure.
I can assure you after this, The Rock's going to make sure he freaking owns it.
Oh, LJ Matthews Art says, you can call this battle a Royale with cheese. But then that'll have to be sponsored by Burger King. And then you could have had the Burger King. You could have had the Sneak King himself involved in the match. That would have been better.
Well, if it had been Burger King, then they could have had it their way and it would be fine. It could have just been shit.
Yes, and if they had KFC, they get Dolph Ziggler dressed up as the Colonel once more, fighting people. I mean, he did take on Miz in a giant chicken outfit back in 2016.
They could have doubled down and give them a couple of buckets of chicken.
Meanwhile,
if it's McDonald's, give them a McFlurry for the winner.
Meanwhile, backstage, definitely not the managers of Raw and SmackDown, Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville, go and see Vince McMahon, and they're having a whale of a time. They're saying, it's a great show. This has been one of the best Survivor Series in years. And then Vince turns up and kind of goes, have you seen my egg? And he goes, my egg is gone. I don't like this. Find my egg. I don't care if both the rosters, they stay here on Raw tomorrow night. I want to know where my egg is. It's worth $100 million. It's the real one from that Red Notice film. And it's an egg. But who stole my egg?
I mean, I feel the need to add, Ian, you're missing a crucial point here.
Okay.
He first blamed the janitor for nicking it, then remembered he has to blame the roster for his promo.
Well, I mean, we've had wrestlers dressed up as janitors before.
Time for a Pepsi refill.
I mean, the last major wrestler dressed up as a janitor was Randy Orton. He had night vision goggles and he was taking out a room full of legends.
I mean,
it's like just the way you just pointed it. I mean, it's a load it
is. It's like the thing is, right? I need to ask. So, why am I trying to bring continuity into this?
I just imagine just the bum is like, it's like in the pub. It's just like pour yourself up a pint. Oh, okay. You saw that wrestling last night. Oh yes, it was proper shite. That was. I don't know what I'm doing.
I blame Pizza Hut. So look,
Pizza Hut.
So now, because I clearly cared far more about something else. Did you notice the decor in Vince McMahon's office?
Okay,
can you bring up the screenshots again? So notice the legal pad to his right.
Oh God, it's empty.
There is literally nothing written on it, and the two pencils are just sitting there. This is how much I cared about his damn golden egg that I noticed this. I actually wanted to try and zoom in and see if there was anything written, and there was nothing. I was hoping there was going to be like an unintentional pun here, a slight Easter egg in there of like some crucial information or something. But the other thing I want to make note of is, in theory, if we're going by, I'm going to say WWE canon at this point, Vince McMahon has surely been in that office the entire time.
Yes, he hasn't left at all.
So how could anyone take it from him and from there more to the point without him seeing?
Maybe they were watching Red Notice. Maybe they were having so much fun watching Red Notice with the beautiful people stealing eggs. Why aren't you watching the beautiful film of people stealing eggs? So snuck in and stolen the egg.
Do you want to know why? Because he was watching something on Peacock instead. Maybe the show he's at.
He's just as a double inception of, I'm watching this really good live stream on Peacock. I'm sat in an office. I've never seen myself sat in an office. Vince, that we're live. Oh, where's my egg? Where's my egg? I think.
Where's my extremely valuable golden egg?
The real one used to belong to Cleopatra. Egg.
Coming at you.
I'm going to make it WWE champion in 12 months, and then I'm going to fire it for budget cuts. Moving on. We'll get back. We'll solve the mystery of the egg later on. But moving on. RKBro take on the Usos in a tag team.
Oh, in fairness, actually, wait, no. Can I double back one second? Can you go back? Can you just bring up the graphic quickly for the men's tag match? Because there's something I forgot to make mention of that I alluded to earlier.
I've got the men's tag match on the screen here now.
Sorry, the men's Survivor Series match, sorry.
Okay.
So, sorry, I forgot to make mention of this because I alluded to it earlier. Austin Theory in that tag match, I thought was really, really good. I thought his presentation was really cool in terms of a new character showcase from my point of view of not watching WWE. I instantly got, he's a dick. I instantly got, he loves taking selfies. And the fact that they then actually showed the selfies that he put on social media is actually really good fun. And in terms of him wrestling, I really liked it. I liked the fact that he pinned, was it Sheamus he eliminated?
Yes.
Just for a good showcase, it's like, you know what? This is an example. This is a perfect example of them showcasing someone new amongst established guys. And I just really, really like that. Sorry, that just suddenly came to mind when we were talking about the egg and like who could have stolen that stuff.
It's fine. I like Austin Theory. In NXT 1.0, he was actually quite entertaining. He was a good sort of comedy heel-esque character in a way. So it's like he's a really great wrestler, but he's not all that bright. And I think they've kind of carried that over a little bit into his main roster run so far. But he's more of a what's the word? He's more of a very vain sort of heel in a way. But yes, after shenanigans of the egg, RKBro take on the Usos. It's Randy Orton. Randy Orton becomes like the wrestler with the most pay-per-view matches in WWE history, which is a nice little.
That's what happens when you arrive in 2002 and never leave.
Yep. And yeah, this is a fairly standard tag match. It was all right. There's nothing much to write home about it, but yeah, you get your nice RKO out of nowhere from a Jimmy. I think it's a Jimmy, or yeah, I think it was Jimmy Uso splash. Victory for RKBro. And there's really not much to say about this match, to be honest. And it's like, yeah, it's.
I have two things I can say.
Okay.
First of all, a question for you. How long has this really weird remix of an RKBro song been a thing?
Just after SummerSlam.
Okay, so just after the last show I watched, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the other thing, there was one really, really, really cool thing that happened in this match. The RKO from an arriving from the sky Uso.
Yeah.
How are WWE so capable of missing the coolest moment, arguably, of the entire night? Because the camera angle they had was just zoomed in so much, you actually couldn't tell what happened. I thought he just landed on Orton really weirdly for a second. Yeah, and it wasn't until they showed the replay, and the crowd is going freaking mental over it. It's just like, this kind of reminded me why, like, there are so many, like, camera things that happen in wrestling in general, which annoy me. Yeah. But this is one of the WWE things that annoys me. It's like, just show me the damn move. If it's a really cool moment, don't let me see it on a replay. Just let me be in the moment. Yeah,
you get a sort of better, when they do like a slightly wider replay, and you just see Orton just kind of quickly running in and just doing the RKO. Again, it's a beautiful thing to see. But it's like I don't have much to say on this match. It's not like it's a bad match. It's a serviceable match. It's like a house show match.
Well, there was nothing on the line, like I mentioned earlier. There wasn't. I mean, when you're both the champions, there isn't much you can do. But like I said, they could have had a little bit of. The winners get to pick the next challengers for their opponent's belts or something. Like just something, anything.
Yes. So we go from the tag match to the women's Survivor Series match. So on SmackDown, we have Sasha Banks, we have Shotzi, We have Shayna Baszler, we have Natalya, and Toni Storm, who's the number one contender to the SmackDown title. On Raw, we have Bianca Belair, we have Liv Morgan, who's the number one contender to the Raw Championship, Rhea Ripley, Queen Zelina, and Carmella. There's very little storytelling beats in this match, other than the whole Shotzi and Banks thing, which was still carrying over from SmackDown. They had a one-on-one, Banks won. They were supposed to be professional makeup. Banks punched Shotzi because that's what baby faces do. That somehow contributed to the whole sort of count-out shenanigans that happened in that match. And everything else didn't really add much. I think the only thing to really sort of look at it from a booking standpoint, it keeps Bianca Belair looking strong, which is great. It's a little bit of a disservice to the other members of the roster, maybe, because again, there's some really good talents there as well. And it's like you don't necessarily get to see it a lot in this match, especially when you're Toni Storm and you Liv Morgan and you're the number one contenders for those respective belts, and you're kind of taken out of the equation a little bit early. It's like, okay, maybe if they were like the penultimate fall before it was like the final one-on-one, fine. And I'm not trying to be negative of Bianca. I think she's had a hell of a year. She's a great performer. She's still a really great wrestler. But it's like if you keep making someone so strong, it's like the whole thing when people weren't really. It's like people loved it when Drew McIntyre won the WWE Championship for the first time and all that sort of stuff. But then it's like the more you make them unbeatable and unbeatable and unbeatable and unbeatable, it becomes a bit repetitive and boring. So it's like, I think she's in a feud with Dewdrop on Raw at the moment. Because.
So,
your thoughts?
I have questions.
I don't have any answers, but I'll try.
What the heck is up with Carmella needing another mask or a face or something like that?
Oh, this is the whole thing with her feud with Liv Morgan on SmackDown a couple of months ago. Basically, there was a point where...
Months?
It was about a month or two ago. Yeah, she thought she injured her face. So she demanded to be wearing a face mask. So every time she now wrestles, she tries to put on a face mask. Can
she not do this before the match begins?
No, because she needs to have her entourage do it, because she's the most beautiful woman in WWE, apparently.
So I'm reading far too much into this. Okay. So she gets her entourage to try and put the mask on.
Yeah.
They seemingly fail to do their one job.
Yeah.
She then goes on the apron into the ring to try and put the mask on.
As you do.
Fails.
As you do.
At her own job that her own people couldn't do for her.
As you do.
And then gets eliminated.
As you do.
This was almost the equivalent of Kevin Owens walking out in the men's match. Except she actually tried to do slightly more than nothing.
I don't want to imagine, but I wonder if someone just sat back when Carmella saw Kevin go, I'll do a little bit more than Kevin, and I'll go home for the night. I'll be fine. But then again, it might be the whole booking thing. I'm pretty sure it's not the performer's choice sometimes. But
so let's get to one of the main moments of this match. Now, first of all, also shout out to Team SmackDown for being the only Survivor Series team completely color coordinated, because they all had slightly bluish ring gear.
Weren't Raw in the women's match all red? Pretty sure they were.
No, because Selena Vega was technically like a weird, like orangey pink type thing.
All right.
I think.
Okay.
I don't know at this point, but anyway. So
moving on.
The way that Sasha is eliminated, like the fans were really not into this match, and the way the match was crafted did not help.
No.
Liv Morgan is easily one of the most over people in the match. Is just casually eliminated at some point. To emphasize how much the crowd were really enjoying this match, they started doing a Mexican wave and started doing CM Punk chants, to which the CM Punk chants from clearly a very tiny but loud section of the crowd were then booed by some fans. And now, obviously, I'm hoping that is more from the perspective of show the women some respect, as opposed to just booing the Punk chants for the sake of it. It told a lot that there was an actual reaction to the chant in that way, and that people had more than other stuff to do. But sorry, go on.
I think as well, I don't know if maybe it's just from the fans' perspective. People have chanted for CM Punk. He's back in AEW. Why on earth are we chanting about it now? Maybe that was some of the mindset of the fan, but no, I think again it's like the female wrestlers involved are incredibly talented. It is, and we've talked about this on the first episode of the reboot of this podcast. It can be a very disrespectful chant sometimes when people are legitimately trying to put on a good match. Yeah. And if you just can't be invested because it's not what you're interested, then why on earth you bought a ticket in the first place? To be perfectly honest. Yeah,
and as for how Sasha Banks got eliminated, like having a bit of a tiffy, I'm gonna say, with your fellow colleagues who you don't get along with, and that's the story of the match, so that's fine. But why would her own teammates do a really bad job at preventing her from not getting in the ring? She was in the ring when she was counted out. She was all but in the ring. Literally. I need to break something. It drove me.
Drink more Pepsi Max. Drink more Pepsi Max. It'll make you feel better. There you go. Medicine.
You're not wrong. But yeah, it's just it was. Excuse me. I drove too fast now.
It looked silly. I agree with you. I mean, I can understand from a storytelling perspective. I can imagine why that carried on because of the whole Shotzi thing. But yeah, I can't. It's like the way they execute it is very, very dumb.
The thing that's more okay. So there are two sort of factors in this that I want to highlight in particular, and this kind of sums up a lot of my thoughts on this show. It's an insult. Well, three thoughts. It's an insult to the talent who are involved because it's not a fair showcase of what they can do. Now, I get you might have storylines. That's kind of the other thing I was going to say. And you want to maintain some storyline things or protect champions and such like that.
Yeah.
But how on one Survivor Series show do you have 4 countouts across 2 matches? 4 count-out eliminations. That's not on. Think of something better. Do a better job. The other thing as well is, quite frankly, it's an insult to us as fans. Like, if I'd have been in that building in New York, where was this at? In Brooklyn, at the Barclays Center? Yeah, if I'd have been in Brooklyn in this building, I legit would have been fuming. Because it's like, some people probably paid, upwards of at least a few $100s to be in at that show. And if that's what you got throughout the night, and you're just, it's already a bit of a stretch to say, why should I care about this? It's Survivor Series, one of the traditional big shows. All right, I'm sure it'll be good fun. This is just a slap in the face. You get a great moment or two with Bianca and Sasha Banks, excuse me. And it's great while it lasted. It's really short-lived. And ultimately, you get the whole Belair basically defeating all of SmackDown to win the match. That's a really cool thing for Belair as, like, I say a character, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, as a character.
Yeah, it's a really cool thing to highlight. But again, what does it all mean? Ultimately.
I think there are other little things they could have played on. I think Tony Storm and Rhea Ripley had a really good rivalry in NXT UK. I'm surprised they didn't play on that a little bit to kind of...
NXT UK doesn't exist in main roster land.
But yet it still does.
But Ian, it doesn't. Oh, if the championships are not acknowledged now, therefore it does not exist.
But again, but they did acknowledge Rhea Ripley and Shayna Baszler's feud in NXT. They did. They have acknowledged.
But they won't acknowledge Charlotte being NXT champion now.
No, not of course. So yeah, there are little feuds and stuff like that you could have built on a little bit just to kind of go, we're rekindling something and so forth. But it's kind of just thrown to the wayside in the storytelling routes. It's like I hope moving forward, Morgan and Storm, considering they are number one contenders in a way, have better kind of character side of work. So, and I think they're doing an okay job with Morgan against Becky because Becky's trying to be like a bully heel in a way, trying to belittle her, and they got into like a little altercation on the Raw Monday night, which was all right.
I imagine it'll be a fun match as well when it happens.
Hopefully all goes well. It's a lovely sort of wrestling coming out party for Liv Morgan to finally announce herself, because she's grown as a performer, and as you said, the crowd really like her. So hopefully it leads to something. But yeah, ultimately, Raw win the match. I think at this point, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Raw are winning Survivor Series 5-0 at this rate. 5-1 if you count the kickoff, which sometimes they never do. So yep, and then we move on to main event.
No.
Okay.
We have a couple of important things. Well, clearly the most important thing that happened, which was the next Rock career highlight video, highlighting The Rock's 25th anniversary. Everybody, in case you didn't know, it's The Rock's 25th anniversary. We're celebrating it tonight with a Pizza Hut-filled shitfest of a Rock anniversary battle royal and some great clips. But also what also occurred was a small backstage segment involving Paul of Heyman.
Yes.
It was during this where the one important note of the entire night took place, and that is that Brock Lesnar's indefinite suspension is no longer indefinite.
So it's still a suspension, but it's not forever now. It's basically what they're saying.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
And now, watch the beautiful people stealing the eggs. No. Reigns versus Big E was the main event. Again, it was a slow start, but it builds up and it comes into like a nice little power move sort of match from both champions. And again, it's a nice little match. The wrestling's good here. I think the wrestling was very good here. Again, why? It just comes off like a very elaborate house show match. Okay, so first of all, I thought the match was all right. Did not light my world on fire. There were some great moments. Big E looked really strong. Like he survived 3 or 4 Superman punches, and then just got up.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, also Reigns actually, kind of a weird play on words here, but he actually acknowledged through his reactions that Big E was getting up and not staying down. But of course, that's not really put across on commentary or anything to help emphasize how strong of a champion Big E is. But that aside, there are some great little moments in this. Like when Big E suddenly hit the big ending and nearly got the 3, but it was Roman grabbing the rope. That was a great little moment. Lots of great little moments in this match. The problem is it had to follow everything else that came before it. Yeah. And by the time it got to this match, much as people probably won't want to admit this, the crowd did not care. Because the feeling that you got when you're just told in a backstage segment that Brock Lesnar's indefinite suspension is not indefinite and that you've been celebrating The Rock's anniversary all night, one might think
it's building to something.
Something's going to happen after this match. And it's not to say the fans didn't properly not care. There were great moments. When Big E nearly got the win, there was a definite moment there where everyone was super into it. But when the match ended, it just felt like it ended. And then the way things were being shot, the way people were reacting, there was literally that feeling of, right, what we closing out with? What's going to happen? What have we been building up to all night? Yeah. And what do we see? We see Roman Reigns eventually stand up in the ring. He's given his belt. I think he poses. I don't remember at this point. And then he leaves the ring. Big E's lying on the ground. Title belt next to him. He's a champion, got to keep champion looking strong, even when he's been beaten. Roman Reigns starts walking to the back. There's someone holding a sign in the crowd highlighting why are Shawn Michaels' tights so far up his belly during his match at SummerSlam 93.
But why were they so high up, though?
I don't know.
But why, Jeremy? I need answers, Jeremy. This is the most provocative question that came out of Survivor Series, other than the egg. But we'll maybe
Shawn Michaels the day before had a really big buffet at Pizza Hut and needed to try and hide his belt.
It was like, gotta hide the buffet, or Vince will get angry.
So Roman keeps walking, and then we get the graphic that says the show is done. We get the little copyright. Hang on, where am I in this? We get a little copyright dog in the corner of the screen, and the show fades to black.
Wow. That Survivor Series is done.
And that's when I realized something, Ian. And this is when I went digging around on the internet because I knew someone will have tallied this up. This show was 3.5 hours long. 70 minutes of this show was not wrestling. We got Vince McMahon promos. We got Rock segments, a backstage interview. The Xia Li segment that you mentioned, like the video hyping her family story.
Yeah.
You can't boo her. That was an amazing video they made, all comic stylings. Arguably, one of the best things on the entire show was that Xia Li promo. And if they ever try and turn her heel, they're gonna fail, quite frankly. What else we got? A random Bobby Lashley hype video, which makes him look like the biggest baby face on the planet, even though he's a proper heel. Sure. And ultimately, 70 minutes of this 3.5 hour show was not wrestling. And that's including entrances, by the way, as well. I'm highlighting that as well.
Okay.
Actual in-ring wrestling, 70 minutes of it was not wrestling. If I'd have bought a ticket and been in the building, I would have demanded a refund.
You know what's great about a tribute show to The Rock?
When he makes an excellent appearance?
Well, he makes an excellent appearance, but then just doesn't turn up.
So that's Survivor Series. That's done.
Yeah.
so
It's like, forget it, Ian. I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Yeah, basically. I'm going to have another breakdown in a minute. But so the big thing of the show was people obviously talking about the fact The Rock wasn't there. Now, from what I have heard, WWE never expressly advertised The Rock would be there. So from that element of it, they are covered. But when you are celebrating the anniversary of The Rock's career, you'd like to think that you would see more of him than just in a trailer.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a video, because apparently I think he's in Europe somewhere filming.
He's actually Australia, I think. Australia.
Oh, okay. I was close.
It's several thousand miles away. But you were close, Jeremy. You were close.
Yeah. So, I would like to have thought he would have recorded some kind of video message. Just outright acknowledge, guys, I'm currently abroad filming a movie due to
thank you.
He could have even just said, well, no, he could have even literally said, due to quarantine requirements, I wasn't able to get back to the show. Just say that, acknowledge it. And everyone's like, fair. You know, not happy, but fair.
He's a busy guy.
Yeah, but just do like a little couple of minutes thing, just reminiscing or talking about certain things. And then it's like, okay, he wasn't on the show, but he was. That at least would have kind of wouldn't have made the situation better, but it at least would have been like a nice little, tie the bow, if you will. You've tied the bow, you've set to rest The Rock's career. Because boy, did that show wonderfully celebrate his career. What a battle royal, everyone. Sponsored by Pizza Hut.
And Red Notice, where the beautiful people steal the eggs. And I'm not gonna go into solo mode now. I've done all my shouting about the beautiful people.
There you go. But yeah, so like when it comes to the whole Rock not being on their thing, quite frankly, if I was The Rock and this show was celebrating my 25th anniversary of my career, and I was told there's going to be a battle royal that's going to celebrate your career. We're going to show you little clips throughout the entire night. We're going to do a cross-promotional thing involving a golden egg that's going to go missing. I probably wouldn't have shown up either and made sure I was abroad.
You could have asked, could they change the Pizza Hut to the tequila brand that I run? No. Oh. No then. I mean, it's quite funny that, and people have pointed this out, The Rock actually sent a recorded message to Impact Wrestling for Ken Shamrock's induction into the Hall of Fame and do anything for this show. But then again, it depends. It depends if WWE actually even went to talk to him either.
I literally was going to say, do you reckon they even asked him?
I don't think they did. Part of me thinks they didn't, and they just think, people will just tune in because we have footage of The Rock, and it's like, and I was reading a few reports on some of the wrestling sites saying some people in WWE expressed concern that they were promoting a lot of The Rock without The Rock actually being there. It's like saying you're going to see your first look at this incredible movie, and you just get shown like a picture of a set and go, that's the set, but we've sat through this 2-hour thing to get there. It's kind of like a lot of what the Netflix Geeked videos did over the summer, where they go, we're going to do a Splinter Cell anime. Yes, this is a shot of the anime. Okay, that's all you're going to see.
But trust me, it looks great. Trust me.
I mean, around that time they were going, oh yeah, well, we can tell you, it's like with Bebop, they were going, we'll tell you that this person's involved. You're going to show a trailer, your show's out in 3 months. We'll see you in 3 months. Come back. Suffice to say, I'm one of, I think, quite a few people at the moment who seem to have enjoyed the new Bebop. Enjoyed it. Enjoy is a strong word. I like it. There's some things that don't necessarily work, but overall, I think it's still it's an admirable attempt to do an anime live action.
Joe, honestly, I haven't seen it yet. I really want to. It's just trying to find time to actually properly indulge in it.
Yeah,
but,
it's. I think I said this on my own personal stream on Monday. If you really, really hold that original anime dear to your heart, and it's like something you always revisit and you cherish it, maybe not watch the Netflix version, because they do change a little bit across the thing, and it kind of comes across a bit weird. But if you're kind of like, I like the anime, let's just see what they do, I think it'll be fine with it, to be perfectly honest. I mean, there's a lot to enjoy it. But anyway, that's anime. We're talking about wrestling.
Oh yeah, we are, aren't we?
How much we were thinking about this show.
You can tell how much Survivor Series has left a proper good little feeling in our hearts.
But Jeremy, what happened to Vince McMahon's egg? Well, on Raw Monday, Vince wanted to find the egg, and he promised whoever found the culprit would get a WWE Championship match. Lucky for him.
Can I, before you talk about who it was, can I just ask, because I've not watched Raw, and I will not watch Raw, how much of the show, in like a percentage scale, do you reckon was taken up by the mystery of the egg?
I don't know. I didn't watch it.
Fair enough. Continue.
It's like I just skim Bleacher Report for the results on Raw, and it's like if they say things are worth watching, then I'll go and check it out a little bit later. But it's just like I can't give my time.
Ian, the correct response.
Yes, lovely. So apparently Sami Zayn found out who the culprit was, and lo and behold, it was Austin Theory, who borrowed the egg for a selfie. Vince McMahon was so impressed. He went, that kid's got guts and balls. I like you, kid. You've got a WWE Championship against Big E tonight. Austin lost, but he had a whale of a time. Whereas Sami, who wanted the shot, was told off. No one likes snitches. And thus ends the story of the egg.
Scene.
And on that bombshell.
So, do you know what? I can also imagine, did Vince McMahon use the word, like, he's got a lot of gumption for telling me outright? Gumption is like a word I feel like Vince would say.
I think he said guts or balls. It's one of the two. I can't remember gumption.
Grapefruit.
You got giant eggs in your sack.
So, to try and move on.
Lie down.
I know, right? So, I still want to know, how did Austin Theory get into the room to steal the egg without Vince noticing? I don't know if that's acknowledged. I'm going to be honest, I don't care. But I'm really happy that... Go on, sorry.
He probably just walked in, went, an egg, and picked it up and walked off while Vince was on his phone.
Also, the selfie that Austin Theory posted is freaking great. I don't know if you've seen it, 'cause I've seen it doing the rounds. It's freaking great.
I think I might actually have it. Carry on talking. I'll see if I can find it. You've got
to put up. But I'm really happy that if this is only a 1 week push for Austin Theory, I'll be a bit sad. But the way I look at this is, what, as dumb as this entire thing is with this egg, what a wild way to actually push someone new. and get them in the main event of the show in a championship match. As ridiculous as it is, from the Austin Theory character, based on what I saw at Survivor Series and what I've, read after the fact, I really like this. And I shouldn't. And it annoys me that I really like this. But I really like it.
It's like, but we're giving WWE the mandate to go do more silly bollocks like this. That's the problem, Jeremy. Especially when you get lovely selfies like this.
There you go.
Look how smug Vince looks at us. Oh, yes. Good brand synergy.
Do you know what makes that though? What makes that though is Austin Theory and Vince's face. Like, you just look at Vince's face in the background, and there's that look of, it's a double look of, what's that kid doing? Oh, it's a photo. And he got him at the exact moment when he realized what he was doing.
It's like I got my $100 million egg back. All is well in the world. Why was this a thing? Who knows?
I mean, I feel the need to point out a comment from Harriet in the chat, which is, it's amazing that an egg was all it took to break the WWE fans.
I mean, they tried to break the fans with the gobbledygooker at Survivor Series years ago with a giant egg.
So you mentioned the gobbledygooker, right?
Yeah.
Would it not have been the utter best coming full circle story if it turned out it was the gobbledygooker that stole the egg?
No, the egg should have hatched, and then you have a hench gobbledygooker just wearing the mask and the shorts, just going, I've evolved, Vince, put me in the match. Gobble.
It's like a Power Ranger enemy when Rita Repulsa makes the monster grow at the end so he gets the Megazord in battle. But just imagine Rita Repulsa played by the role of Vince McMahon.
With the big sort of circular hat and just going, yes.
Oh no, it'll be like the hat he wore after Donald Trump shaved his head that he wore for a while. This is already great. But yeah, so can I also point out, I was telling you about how people were being removed from the match, like in the tag matches. The fact that freaking Sami Zayn was removed from the men's tag match, again, was like why are you removing him? He's great!
He got into a tiff with Jeff Hardy about what it takes to be a leader in teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work. He wasn't a team player. Off he goes. He vanished. I remember when he lost the match and we just looked at the graphic and just saw him fade away. Oh no, he's been snapped out of existence by WWE Thanos.
Did you, I don't care, this is a tangent, I'm going with it. So did you hear there was apparently a legitimate scientific study as to whether Thanos snap was actually possible? If that is not an example, if that's not an example of some people having far too much free time in this world and getting paid to do it, I don't know what is. It's almost like Vince McMahon having a golden egg.
It's like, I'm an important scientist. I've got nothing to do today. Shall we just see if that thing in Avengers Infinity War actually can happen? Well, what do we need? Well, first we need the Infinity Stones. Well, what are they? Well, they're very powerful stones. Where can we find them? They don't exist. Why? Because they're fictional. Does that mean this means it can't happen? Indeed. How long have we taken with that? We've taken 5 minutes. Well, that was a very good scientific study that we did. Yes.
So, how can I follow that?
There was science. Science was done.
Genuine question. Why am I even going to ask?
Genuine.
Yep. If Vince McMahon could have any of the Infinity Stones,
oh no,
which do you think he would pick?
He'd probably have like the reality stone, I guess, because then he'd just turn it into the reality of everyone going, yes, Vince, you're still a genius. You're still the greatest wrestling mind out there. Yes. I mean, he would.
I look forward to when Vince McMahon eventually finds out the MCU exists, and then he has time to watch the films.
Oh, who made the suggestion? What was it? I think it's Nick Khan, who's like one of the CEOs for WWE, was saying, "Oh yeah, WWE is kind of going to be like Marvel." It's like, no, you stop it. We're gonna have
they almost had a superhero, and they killed that before it began. You know.
They're thinking, oh yeah, we're gonna be like Marvel. We're gonna get. It's like we might be bought by Disney. Do you think Mickey Mouse wants to deal with this shit?
Oh no, Pluto, let's go.
Ha ha! I am now the mystery GM of Raw. Tonight, I want a fight, a hardcore match in the Magical Kingdom. It's gonna be the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns, going up against, I don't know, Goofy, Gorsh, Spear.
You kind of just sounded a bit like Paul Heyman on helium. I'm not gonna lie.
Extreme.
Can you just shout "gore" a few times like Paul Heyman would back in the day?
What,
like that?
What, like Mickey Mouse?
Yeah, like gore, gore,
gore, gore, gore.
Oh, that shouldn't work as well as it does.
Goofy's spine's broken, but it's fine. We can rebuild him in the animation department.
In
Why
what?
did I
Thanos
spend?
snap?
Why did I spend $10 billion on WWE? It's probably worth less than that. It's definitely a little worth less than Marvel.
Honestly, at this point, would Disney want to touch WWE? Like, probably not.
I mean, in terms of the whole sort of making profits, I mean, a lot of people say it's looking like it's a sell. I think I would be surprised if it wasn't for a sell, if they're trying to make themselves look so good. In terms of, it's like there's the legitimate possible buyer out of anything could be just Universal because they own Peacock. They could. Because
you just this is how my brain is just.
But then again, it's like AEW using Universal Studios for dark tapings.
It's a studio. It's a backlot. Like that doesn't really mean anything at this point. But what I was going to say is because you mentioned Universal, which is technically NBC Universal, I think, which is what owns USA.
Or Comcast. Yeah.
Did you notice how in one of the Survivor Series, I don't know which match it was probably The Rock's crappy anniversary battle royal.
Yeah.
But all the wrestlers were wearing like Raw and SmackDown shirts.
And on the
Did
back,
you notice how on the back of the shirt has the TV logos? I bet Fox were really happy that their show was just utterly mullered all night.
I think they may have had to maybe kind of save face with USA for, promoting Netflix for the entire evening and Pizza Hut.
Pizza Hut, Kentucky Fried Chicken, and a Pizza Hut.
McDonald's. This is making me hungry.
I know, right? So
anyway, on that bombshell,
there's some. There you go.
As Harriet said in the chat.
Oh, fair play, Harriet. Nice one. I will say so. There is one other thing we should just make note of because it's freaking dumb. So WWE announced that they are doing a pay-per-view on New Year's Day. I'm just going to ask you, Ian, and I mean this with all sincerity. What is this event actually called?
Day One.
When I saw the logo and they had their weird advert of everyone just holding up like one. One. When I saw the logo, I genuinely thought the event was called WWE One Day.
One day in WWE. That's
right. Just because the way the logo was formed, it's like, what way am I meant to read this?
It looked like a generic Twitch streamer badge you use as a logo to get started. I don't know. I want it on a shield. Yeah.
Now, based on having watched Survivor Series, I can't think of a shittier way to start the year 2022 than watching a WWE pay-per-view on the evening of January the 1st.
Well, at least they have a month now to actually give a shit about stories. Maybe they probably won't because Rumble season's just around the corner and that's when everyone forgets the shitness of the stories.
I won't lie. When it suddenly occurred to me because when they were showing that commercial a couple of times, I thought, what is normally the December pay-per-view for WWE? It would be TLC.
It would be TLC, but they're not doing that this year.
Yeah, but it's like it was at the time I was like, I can't remember what it would be. Like, what the hell is it? And then eventually, when they said, this is our last pay-per-view of 2021 on commentary, acknowledging like the next show is on January the 1st, and I literally just thought, you picked a hell of a bloody show to put on for your last one, didn't you? Let's send out 2021. Let's send out 2021 with a bang and welcome in 2022 with an even bigger, shittier bang.
Well done, everyone. Good job on 2021, everyone. Good job. Good job. Record profits. Tons of people out. But you know what? Day one's when we go again. Day one is when we go again. Oh, Jesus.
So here's a random thought, because this is going to be fun, and then we'll start wrapping up.
Okay.
Make a random prediction for something that be a match, an occurrence, whatever, that could happen on, what's that event called? Is it one day or day one? On Jan 1st.
On New Year's Day. New Year's Revolution. That's what they should have called it. They should have opened up the book and gone back.
They've literally got a whole catalogue of just defunct pay-per-view names, and
Tuesday
they came up
Texas.
with... Right? But it's just that anything like... Pull up another one for that. Like, I don't know where the event's taking place, but you mentioned New Year's Revolution. They've still got the Bash. That would have made sense. A New Year's Bash. Oh, thought of a new name. Shock horror. Drink some Pepsi.
That's also stress. We're not sponsored by Pepsi.
I flipping wish we were, though.
You'd be like Wade Barrett every time. Oh, he's got his Pepsi Max with cherry. He's lapping it up.
Actually, I'll have you know, raspberry for the record.
Raspberry. He's got his raspberry cherry Pepsi Max. Carry on.
I mean,
sorry,
speaking of raspberry Survivor Series, so make a random prediction for what could occur on day one. God, I was again.
Until the very first day next year. Well, I'll wake up. That's what I'll do.
Just think of like, if you could, based on what we've seen, the matches that have occurred, stuff's going on. What would you think could happen on that event? I'm going to predict there will be a match to determine who gets to enter in at number 30 in the Rumble.
That could be it. Yeah, that could work. I could see that.
Because literally, the easy way to book... actually, I'm going to quickly look it up, but when is the Rumble next year? Because one of the easiest
last weekend of January, I think. Last weekend of January.
Because one of the easiest ways they could take advantage of the fact that they're really close to Rumble is just to book a bunch of matches involving the Rumble. Could be really easy. You could set up a title match there. All sorts.
But no, you're definitely gonna have at least a few. You're gonna definitely have like the WWE and probably Universal Championship match. There'll probably be a filler feud for Roman, to be honest. I mean, I could imagine them continuing the Xavier Woods storyline that they've been going on a moment with SmackDown. So it's like they've had the last couple of weeks where Woods and Reigns have been kind of having it out with one another, but again, we don't know if that leads to anything, or it's just a filler feud until Brock turns up. I think if Brock comes back, he's going to have a match for the belt at Royal Rumble, and he'll probably not win it, to be honest.
So January 29 is when it is.
January 29, yeah, so last weekend.
Yeah, so that's a heck of a long time. They've effectively got 2 months to build to the Rumble now. And they could really do something big there. It's taking place in St. Louis. I can't remember off the top of my head if anyone in particular is like from St. Louis. Could they do like a home... I mean, what's the point of doing a hometown thing? WWE would just bury them. But yeah, so that's a prediction for me. But, we are arguably... I mean, hey, we've just come out of the one time of the year when the two brands cross, but it's only the one time of the year until Vince McMahon decrees the next night on Raw, everyone from both brands shows up to be on Raw. Ooh!
Next year he'll have the second egg from Red Notice.
Oh, no, don't make this an ongoing thing.
So last year I was given an egg by Dwayne, but now Dwayne's found me the second egg and also a bottle of his tequila. He's still not here, but wow, what a guy.
It'd be like Pete Rose coming back at WrestleMania to attack Kane. Just once a year they acknowledge it. And that's it.
Replace the 24/7 championship with the 24/7 egg championship. It's just you get to hold the egg for a while.
You can be excellent 24/7.
Oh,
You can be extremely popular 24/7.
I'm in pain. Stop this. Please.
So, folks, on that note, I think we are going to wrap it up there for today. As mentioned at the top of the show, this is our final live stream of BunkaMania for the year that was 2021. What a year it's been, folks. I mean, in fairness, there's been some great wrestling, but man, what a way to end it. Like this.
Yeah, we've got to, what we're planning to do for the Christmas holidays is we're going to have 2 special episodes of pre-recorded. So one of which is going to be us talking about 2021 in general. So we'll be talking about the highlights, the lowlights, so everything from AEW to WWE and all that sort of jazz, as well as hopefully talk a little bit about Winter is Coming. And then the second one, which I think that 2021 one will probably be towards the new year. Before Christmas, we are going to try our hand at looking at some of these very interesting Christmas movies starring wrestlers and trying to figure out why on earth would we want to watch them. I mean, Santa's Sleigh is available to watch on Amazon Prime with Bill Goldberg as an angry Santa killing people. It's only 70 minutes. I mean, there is the Prime watch along feature available on Twitch, so he could actually have a little fun with that. I don't know.
Maybe this won't be the last live show of the year then.
Maybe I'll just subject Jeremy to watching the trailers and then debate whether or not we want to watch it. I mean, we could watch Christmas Bounty with The Miz, who plays a bounty hunter working at Christmas, or maybe Jingle All the Way 2 with The Miz, or Santa's little helper with The Miz and Paige.
What, as in Diamond Dallas Page, or
no?
Paige,
as in Paige Saraya.
Okay.
Sorry.
I think it is Saraya.
All right.
So that is the plan for over the Christmas holidays, folks. So there will definitely be a couple more shows before the end of the year to help you pass the time over the festive period, as it were.
And then we'll be back in 2021 to talk about day one.
I mean, you know what they say quite a lot. It's a new day. Yes, it is.
No, day one works. Day one rocks. Day one rocks. Day. No, Ian, stop it. You're letting them win.
Excellent. Excellent.
You know what we should do? We should ban
the word egg.
And then go and watch The Beautiful People on Netflix.
I feel the need to point out, Harriet in the chat has just said, hopefully at Easter, it won't be a Cadbury's cream egg.
Oh, Vince will go, I've got a friend. He's called the Easter Bunny. He's brought me an egg. Now, these are fake in children's television and movies, but he brought me a real egg. It's filled with a creamy nugget of yolk and whipped cream. It's a cream egg. It's from Cleopatra. And I've put, who's eating my egg? Who's eating my egg? Who ate Vince McMahon's egg? Oh, it was Austin Theory. I can't get angry at him.
Find out next time on Dragon Ball Z.
Tune in later.
Oh, man.
Another exciting episode of Vince McMahon's Psyche.
I will note, actually, just before I forget, when it comes to us doing the show, I'm trying to maintain order here. I'm failing miserably because I'm contributing to it. But in terms of the 2021 recap show, we do want to actually add, if you guys out there watching this want to contribute any thoughts of things that stood out to you, or perhaps things that may have got a bit under the radar, because what this may also be an opportunity to do is for us to make mention of other things we've seen when it comes to the world of wrestling. Mm-hmm. And such. If you would like to do so, drop us an email. You can do so on contact@bunkazilla.co.uk. Drop us an email, leave us some thoughts in there, and we will no doubt get to a few of those during that very show.
Yes. Indeed.
So Ian, to wrap up, I wanted to save this story for you.
Okay.
Because I finished watching Survivor Series, and I was pissed off. And so I thought, what the heck could I watch or do to cheer me up? And then I noticed, as the show was going off the air, they promoted the fact that Ruthless Aggression Season 2 is now on the network.
Yes.
Do you know what the first episode of Season 2 of Ruthless Aggression focuses on?
Hollywood Rock, and I've watched it. It's really good.
It's so damn good. But you know what this also reminded me? Well, two things. One, that was a far better tribute show to The Rock than this ever will be. But also, holy crap, man, I love that Ruthless Aggression era. It's so underrated. And just watching the Hollywood Rock stuff was such good fun. Now, I appreciate some people out there don't have a network subscription. I'm probably not going to have a network subscription come the new year because, quite frankly, I don't really want to support WWE at this point, but I'm going to binge watch Ruthless Aggression and probably hit cancel. But if you have got a subscription and you haven't checked out the Ruthless Aggression show yet, season 2 is a bit different because Pat McAfee's narrating it, and that's a weird thing to get used to.
Did they had Michael Rappaport do the first season, didn't he?
I think so, yeah. And so,
I mean, the narration doesn't really add to much. It's just kind of joining the dots, and a lot of it is archive interview footage. But when they sort of touch on things like The Rock doing a rock concert during the tele run, which is so just good. Wonderful. And it's like I've got the best of Raw off air Blu-ray, and a lot of like one disc is basically Hollywood Rock just trolling the shit out of everyone, which is amazing. And he's got this kind, do you like pie? I like pie. And it's just like, it's like I've got to go back to Hollywood. I'm going to go back to Hollywood and make movies. But then there's the bit where he's got to be nice when he does the Make-A-Wish stuff and goes, hang on, I know I'm a bad guy, but I'm going to do this. Hello, kid.
The Rock's a bad guy. The Rock's a bad guy.
The Rock's a bad guy. But you get to say a phrase with me. Can you say, tell us, in the millions and millions. Yes, that's it, kid.
It's really good fun. And like the Ruthless Aggression like documentaries, I am pretty damn sure there is some glaring omissions of detail in them. Yeah, but I've also watched the second episode, which was the Innovations one. So talking about like Raw Roulette, Elimination Chamber and stuff. Yeah. And there's some like very intriguing other footage. And like some of the people they talk to, like, it's really amusing now seeing Adam Cole in a WWE documentary listed as
former NXT superstar Adam Cole. It's like, oh, we've got this and he's not hit. Just put former. Just put it. Yeah. It's fine.
And it's also like Christian is also involved in some of them, and that's like, oh, this is getting awkward, isn't it?
Former WWE superstar Christian.
Right. So, but yeah, I'm definitely going to watch more of the Ruthless Aggression stuff because I got a kick out of that first season of it.
And just the thing, if you're looking for stuff to watch over the festive period, the Untold documentary stuff is really cool as well. I've watched the APA story where they talk about Bradshaw and Farouk teaming up together and sort of trying to make it work the best they can and just bonding over it as friends and all that sort of stuff. That's a really cool one. I also like the Orton Undertaker story about
the Legend Killer.
Yeah, the WrestleMania match, and it's like it's basically it's a wonderful kind of. It's kind of really sort of it's a quite weirdly emotional sort of way of seeing how Randy matured from being kind of like reckless, like young gun to the performer he is today. And then also one of my favorite ones is Foley Edge at Mania as well, because that's a great one as well. So yeah, there are some really good documentaries on WWE Network.
The rivalry stuff is really good as well. They don't do any more of them, but the rivalries things that they made are really good fun.
The WWE 24 ones, which are like the behind the scenes stuff for WrestleMania, they're quite good fun because when they follow little stories, like I think for the last one they followed the story of, it was a 2-part one. They followed one story of Cesaro having his first ever singles match. They followed like Sheamus, I think, but Sheamus winning the belt and all that sort of stuff. And it's quite good fun. Sometimes they are a little bit of a promo piece, but sometimes they're quite engaging as well. But anyway,
but anyway, now we put the network over. We didn't try to, but yeah, like I said, that first episode of Ruthless Aggression season 2 was a far better Rock tribute show than the Survivor Series ever could be. So with that being said, everybody, thank you very much for joining us tonight. And again, if you like this video, if you're watching on the YouTube archive, give us a like. Heck, leave us a comment as well. We'd love to hear from you. And of course, if you've been watching live here on Twitch, make sure you give us a follow if you enjoyed this as well, as there will be more stuff coming in the near future. If you want to hit us up on social media, you can find us on Facebook. And of course, there is also a Twitter, which you can find under the username @Bunkazilla UK. From myself, Mr. Jeremy Graves, from him, Mr. Iain Boulton, we have been BunkaMania here on Bunkazilla UK, signing out, and we'll see you, what's that event called? One day? We'll see you day one. We'll talk to you day one at some point.
We'll see you in 2022 live. So
we'll be back live in 2022. See you then, folks, and have a lovely new year.
Have a lovely new year. Enjoy your festive holidays. Stay safe. All the very best. Adios.